Hello. Happy Wednesday. Hello. See if who I can bring on in. Hello. How are you? Happy Wednesday. I'm still trying to master this makeup thing. Hey. Give it one more minute and then I'm going to get started. Hey, how are you? I'm so sorry about your friend. I've just been thinking about that all day. All right, it's 5:03 and I'm going to get started. So, where is God in the waiting? So, this was a topic that was actually brought to me by one of my Facebook friends, and I'm so grateful that she brought this because it really is a good topic. And I think we all at some point in time have questioned, where's God at during this waiting process? And you know, it's a struggle. The wait is a struggle, but we're in good company if you're waiting. And so I wrote down the first 5 people that came to my mind that God has required to wait. And so there was Jacob. Jacob had to wait 7 years and 1 week for Rachel. That was his wife. And then David had to wait 15 years from the time he was anointed to be king to actually be the king. So can you imagine? You know you're supposed to be the king, but you don't have an idea when it's going to happen, and it takes 15 years for it to happen. And then Moses, that's a weird situation. So Moses walked with the Israelites for 40 years, but he never got to enter the promised land. God allowed him to come up on the mountain and he saw the promised land, and then it says God buried Moses. So we don't know where Moses is buried, but God buried him. So he had to wait and endure and work those 40 years, but he got to experience God in a way that nobody else has experienced him. So sometimes the wait doesn't always produce what we think it's going to produce, but it still produces. And whenever we have to wait, I believe it's always because it's ultimately for our good. Even if you don't see it in the midst of it, because it don't feel good, because it's waiting. And then there was Joseph. Joseph waited 13 years from the time his brothers sold him to the time he was put on the throne. It was 13 years. So now you got your brothers. Your brothers don't like you. They done sold you into slavery. You done went to prison. You done had all these things happen. And it takes 13 years before you get to where you're trying to get to. So, and then of course, we always talk about Abraham and Sarah, right? They had to wait. They were old. They had his baby. But sometimes people don't realize from the time it took them 25 years. Some people don't even stay married 25 years. 25 years for them to receive the promised son. So if you're waiting, just know that you're waiting in good company. And you're not alone at all. So I want to point out, God is at work even when it seems that we're alone. And it made me think about being in school. And a teacher is always quiet during the test, because they're testing you. They're trying to figure out why, have you mastered this? And so I got to be quiet during the test. You just got to be quiet. So the teacher's quiet during the test. So it feels like sometimes it makes you feel like you're alone in this. And I want to point out, we say this all the time, but in Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 5, it says, God knew us while we were in our mother's womb. We know that. We trust that. But I want to point something out as well. God knew us. God knows us, but the enemy studies us. So you're like, okay, Monique, give some scripture to support that. Let's think about Job. When Satan was deciding who he was, he kept going to and fro to figure out who it is that he wanted to destroy, to go after. God said, what about my servant Job? And he said, but you got this hedge of protection around him. So how would Satan know that there's a hedge of protection? Because he was watching. Satan watches us. That's why whatever tempts you, tempts you. Whatever tempts me, tempts me. I hate chocolate. I absolutely hate chocolate. So you can leave a chocolate cake in this house and it's not going to affect me. Now, the chocolate cake might affect my daughter. It may affect somebody else. But me, I'm going to just look at it. Now, you bring some chicken wings crispy in here with some blue cheese dressing. You got me. I like that. That's what I like. And so I'm making light of something very major. But the reality is, Satan studies us. So he knows the very thing and he'll make it seem like it's bigger than what it really is. So that wait seems so much longer. And that wait, you feel like, because you can fall into the pity and the woe is me and why this and why that. Because now you miss the beauty of everything else that's around you because you're in the cuff of the wait. So, and also the wait produces some things. And Psalms 37 verse 7 says, be still before the Lord and wait patiently on him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. So there's a couple things that we're supposed to do that waiting produces, and patience is it. Patience is one of the things that also keeps us to stay focused, because it's so easy to look at other people and you're like, dang, well, how come they getting this? And how come they getting this? And I'm the one that's fasting and praying. And I'm the one so you got to stay laser focused on what it is that God has you and where he has you, because if not, you can get caught up in the why they getting this and why I'm not and why is this happening. So you got to stay focused and patient. It produces that. So where is God in the wait? Let's look at Isaiah. It's blue. Let's look at Isaiah 30 and 18. It says, so the Lord must wait for you to come to him so he can show you his love and compassion. For the Lord is faithful God. He is a faithful God. Blessed are those who wait for his help. God is waiting for us. So during the wait, God is waiting on us. He's waiting on us because he can't give us what we're not ready for. And I have to think about that in marriage. So, and there go my friend that asked for this study. I have to think about, I'm gonna just use you for an example real here, friend. So you have a catering business, right? But somewhere in the 4th grade, you learned, maybe it was before then, I'm trying to think, it was 4th grade, you learned about fractions. And you're like, what the heck, fractions? But fractions, you had to learn fractions in order to know how to measure some things to be able to cook. So back when you were in your mother's womb, when I talked about that Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5, when God knew you in the womb, he knew that there was going to be a such thing as your spice company. He knew there was going to be a such thing as your catering company. So even though he was preparing you, it was the wait. You didn't know that you were even in the wait. So, but the wait was preparing you. It was mastering you. So learning them fractions to learn how to say, okay, man, I only have this 1/4 cup, but I need to have a cup of this. Them fractions taught you how to take that 1/4 and you got to do it 4 times, and now that's 1 cup. So you had to, you had to go through some mastery. And the same is with God. He has us, he's waiting on us to get, so he can take us to the next level. And I think about that now using me. I struggle with abandonment issues. I struggle. And so marriage, I think about marriage with having abandonment issues. What if God is waiting for me to heal from my abandonment issues? Because those very abandonment issues could trigger my husband. So now I got abandonment issues, and the way I respond to my abandonment issues is not triggering him. And now we bumping heads. You know, we over here looking like some bobbleheads because we're tit for tat bouncing off of each other's demons. And so maybe God is saying, hey, daughter, once you heal from this, once you release this, once you give it to me, I'm waiting on you. You got free will to do this. You can keep carrying this or you can give it to me. And once you give it to me, then you'll be ready. But until you give it to me, you can't have this because you're not ready. So the next thing, where is God in the waiting? He's working. And that's Isaiah 64 and 4. It says, for since the world began, no ear has heard and no eye has been a God like you. No eye has seen a God like you, who works for those who wait for him. So God is working for us. He's working. He's doing it. We just don't see it. We don't see the outcome. So that go back, like I was saying, you had to learn those fractions in order to be able to know how many cups you got to put in there to make that that sweet barbecue spice. I got to get some of that because it's the bomb. And so you had to learn that. You had to, but so he's working it out. We just don't feel that he's working it out. You know, one of my favorite verses says that while you're still praying, God is answering us. He is answering us even in the way we don't feel like it's being answered because we're such a microwave society. We want everything to be quick, fast, in a hurry. But everything can't be. Some things have to just take its time. It just has to do what it does. And so the next thing is, where is God in the wait? He is waiting for us to be dependent and to search for him. And that's in Lamentations 3:25. It says, the Lord is good to those who depend on him and to those that search for him. We got to search for him. We got to depend on him. We got to just cast it all to him and say, okay, God, I can't see it. I can't, but I'm trusting you in this. I'm depending on you in this. And then the last point I want to make is, where is God in this? He's testing you. He's testing us. And that's James 5, chapter 5, verse 11. We give great honor to those who endure under suffering. For instance, you know about Job, a man of great endurance. You can see how God was kind to him at the end. For the Lord is full of tenderness and mercy. It's there for us. We just got to endure it to the end. And everybody's weight looks different. It just does. And it's unfortunate, there's, my weight may be marriage. Somebody else's weight may be a house, having children, that job, the education, that career, whatever it is. We all are in a place of weight. But the reality is, God is working it out. But we have a responsibility in it. He's waiting on us. He is and he's helping us master that patience and focus. And he is waiting for us to surrender it. He's working it out for us. He's waiting for us to be dependent and to search on him. And he's testing us. And I want to leave us with the point that I made in the very beginning. A teacher always is quiet during the test. So even though you may not feel God, it may not seem, he is so near. He really, really is. But it feels so far away. It feels so far off. But he is very near. And as I said, God knows us, but the enemy studies us. So just as he told God, just as the enemy told God, he only serves you because there's this hedge of protection around him. He, like I said, he only knew that there was a hedge of protection because he was watching. Satan is watching each and every last one of us. And so let's don't get tripped up by the trick. When you know that it's a trick, we good. We got this. We already know what he's coming to do. He's coming to kill, steal, and destroy. So what is he trying to kill, steal, and destroy with making you not wait on God and not do the things he's asked you to do to get to where he wants you to be? All right, y'all. That's it. I thank you all for joining. I'm actually about to get ready to go to my church, and I am going to be doing a podcast with my minister and another brother on dating. I tried to get out of it. They were like, no. So if you guys want to join, it's Blue Springs Road, Church of Christ. I think it's BSRCOC.com. And we are going to be talking about dating. And so this is going to be interesting because I have technically been single for, thank you, Sister Rogers. I have been technically single for 16 years. So I have been divorced for 16 years. So this will be an interesting topic. I'm sure we're going to touch some things that many people in this age are dealing with that are out here dating. It's not it doesn't have to be bad, because as we wait on God, he is working it out. He is preparing us and he is mastering us. So sis, I thank you so much, Genesis, for giving me this topic to discuss. And if anybody has a topic, we most definitely will I'll do my best. Next week, we are going to speak on, I was going to try to combine the two, but when I started studying, I was like, oh, I can't. This is two separate topics. So next week, Lord's will, we're going to speak on intentionality and being intentional on what we have for ourselves and what God has for us. And let's look at the scriptures and see, what does it mean from a biblical standpoint to be intentional, and how we plan to move into 2025 with intentionality. All right. I love you all. Thank you so much for supporting me. And Lord's will, I'll see you next Wednesday or a little bit later today, because I will be at Blue Springs, Lord's will. So, talk to you soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.